In mid-July 2021, South Africa grappled with one of its most severe episodes of socio-political unrest in its recent history. This period we know commonly referred to as the July looting or unrest was characterized by violent protest, rampant looting, and widespread destruction of private and public properties, mainly in the KZN area. And I must say, what came to mind this morning, or not this morning, but yesterday, when we'd heard about the 6 trucks that were blazed at Van Rieden's Pass, I kind of thought to myself, oh no, please God, don't tell me it's starting up again. Jakkie Cilliers, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the program. You are Head of African Futures and Innovation at ISS. Lovely to have you on the show. Did you have the
Thank you.
same?
Thank you very much, Julie. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Uh, I'm wondering if you had similar thoughts that I had when I saw the torching of the trucks. I was absolutely terrified.
Yes, those trucks, it seems to have been a deliberate, a planned attempt. And of course, the July riots that you're speaking about was also planned and then spiraled out of control. And one is worried about what is happening. There is, it's a specific inauspicious date that heralds back to 2 years ago. Um, so what is happening? Is there in actual fact some type of criminal, political grouping that is really trying to destabilize South Africa? Things have changed since 2 years ago. I mean, at that point, what you had is a situation where instability within the governing party spilled over into the rest of South Africa and literally became a national problem. But things have changed since then. President Zuma is no longer a national challenge. The RET faction within the ANC has largely been neutralized. Um, of course, the criminal justice system, police, and so on, they remain challenged. But something was behind the July riots of 2 years ago, and something is behind the trucks that have been set alight on Van Rieden's Pass. So one is concerned.
Okay, you talk about the RET faction having been neutralized. Have they truly been neutralized? Very especially in light of the fact that the elections are around the corner. And
Mm.
I'm kind of wondering what sort of monsters we're going to be see rearing its ugly head going forward.
Well, we face challenges across every part of the criminal justice system, intelligence, police, the NPA and associated systems, the correctional services. You can only go back to the report that Professor Sandy Africa released after the July riots, which just pointed to complete dysfunction at the most senior levels within government, at cabinet level, to realize that although we haven't addressed the root causes of instability, those root causes are inequality, poverty, and so on and so forth, that will be with us for a long time. The systems that are supposed to manage this, the social control systems, are also not working. Of course, to fix those structural problems, the drivers of unemployment, inequality, and so on, we first need to get load shedding out of the way and to enable the economy to grow again. Until such time, we are literally dependent upon the police and other agencies of the state to try and just keep a lid on the system. But of course, they prove the challenges within them literally on a daily basis. The fact that what we've been referred to as the burning of the trucks of Van Rieden's Path is just another example of our apparent inability to be able to forestall these kind of events.
Jackie, you spoke about socioeconomic drivers regarding the July unrest. We've seen the issue around the 6 trucks having been burned at, obviously, Van Renen. Do you not think that that might be some sort of an indirect signal to these criminal and other elements that there is something underfoot and perhaps start preparing for another period of unrest? Please, God, I hope I'm wrong. But do you not think that it could be sending out the wrong or mixed signals?
Well, these kind of incidents are organized. And the reality is that the majority of crime in South Africa is the result of organized groupings, organized criminal groupings. And that is exactly what the intelligence and the detective services should be getting behind. South Africa is becoming increasingly lawless. And the response from the government is to deploy more police, so-called boots on the ground, and lately also to try and invest in technology. Neither of these really fix the problem because um, for example, murder and the kind of attacks that we see, they are the result of small groups of criminals that could be apprehended with due detective and intelligence work. It's not like the whole of South Africa is in flames. There are small groups of organized criminals, perhaps with political linkages, that are responsible for this. It's not like murder happens across South Africa. Murder occurs specifically in specific police precincts. And what we need to do is we need to focus on those precincts and invest in detective services, fix our forensics, fix the way in which firearms leak out from government to criminals. And those kind of measures, in other words, fixing the management of the policing, will do much more than recruiting um, community policing. I can't remember the term that Premier Lusufi used for the hordes of young men and women that he's going to bring on the streets that are supposed to help with crime combating. That is not a solution. We need to fix the drivers of solutions, which are detectives and these kind of enablers within the police.
Um, I guess the all important question is, are our police services up to it? Are they up to the task? You kind of wonder the type of training they undergo, and are they fit enough mentally, physically, and otherwise to be able to tackle the crime situation in the country? We've also heard Sasria suggesting, and I hope there again there is some sort of a turnaround with the Reserve Bank coming to the rescue. But Sasria has suggested the anniversary of the July unrest that if we should see something playing out again like it did 2 years ago, there
Yeah.
just are not enough funds available to assist the affected people. I'm not even sure if the people that were affected in 2 years ago were fully compensated. We know about job losses. We know about unemployed youth still walking streets and loitering on street corners, which is another powder keg
Mm.
waiting to explode.
Yeah, no, we can't afford that type of chaos we had 2 years ago. We need to get the security systems in place that can investigate and apprehend the instigators. And remember that the violence of 2 years ago was politically instigated by, it seems, a faction associated with former President Zuma that then spun out of control. And it spirals out of control because of the high levels of unemployment, dire levels of poverty, and desperation of many South Africans. That is not going to change. As I said, to change those fundamentals, you need to get the economy growing. And to get the economy growing, you need to get rid of load shedding and all of these things, which we know will take some time to resolve. In the meanwhile, you have to fix the police. And the problem with the police is a management problem, and it's been evident for some time. The police do not believe in evidence. They do not publish accurate they do not collect or publish accurate crime statistics on a regular basis, and they do not act in terms of even their own data. We run a huge website at the Institute that reflects on crime and crime data. And I mean, it is infuriating to see the extent to which the response of the police to anything is that the minister rushes to a place, he's on television, more police are deployed in uniform. That does not solve the problem. What we need are detectives, intelligence, fixing forensics, fixing the firearms registration system, devolving police powers to metropolitans and provinces, and so on and so forth. So It's largely a management problem. You refer to training. Well, look at what's going to happen in Gauteng, where we are going to put young men and women with the minimum of training on the beat to try and do what? Intimidate local people? These are not solutions. These are stopgap measures of a desperate criminal justice system.
You talk about putting young men and women on the streets. I think I made a comment in one of my previous shows that perhaps boots on the ground would make a significant difference. It would deter criminals. But if you put such young people on the streets to try and manage the crime situation, you're right, it might be a recipe for even bigger disasters because they come with little or no life experience. They might end up being very trigger happy, and we might end up with situations that are totally untenable.
Yeah.
So there's no real right answer to the situation that we're sitting with. I guess you need political will, you need minds, intelligent minds from different sectors of the communities and society at large to come together to think tank and then to start putting responsible measures in place. And we don't even have to reinvent the wheel, Jakkie. I think we can learn from other countries. We can learn from other first world countries to see how is it that they get it right, to possibly look forward to our current situation and how we can fix our very broken systems. And now I'm saying a lot here. It's a very loaded statement, but in the same breath also, we need to look at the efficacy of the South African Defence Force as well. Your thoughts on all of that I've just unpacked now?
Well, I think there's a lot that we can learn from others, but it really is a question of going back to basics. And the basics are to fix our police, to fix our criminal justice system. It's a management issue primarily, and we know what needs to be done. I say it again: fix the detectives, spend less money on VIP protection, fix the firearms registration, forensics, devolve powers to provinces and metropolitans, and make them responsible, and follow the analysis. Look at evidence. We do none of those things. We try and have quick stop measures where we try and deploy more poorly trained policemen and women in uniform. It's not the uniforms that are going to deter. They will deter maybe loitering and this kind of stuff, but the kind of organized criminal activity that we saw in Van Renen and that we saw 2 years ago, well, those were 2 years ago was politically instigated within the ANC, obviously within factions within that. But you need to fix the basics if you are to get at organized crime. If you are going to reduce murder and reduce the kind of incidents that can blow up in the interim. So literally, we can learn from others. We don't. We just need to fix the basics in South Africa, but we don't do that.
Okay, Jakkie, I need to go for an ad break. When I come back, I'd like you to respond to me regarding the SANDF, their role, their purpose. Do they serve a purpose at all in the country? And then let's look at, I mentioned first world countries that supposedly seem to get it right, but they too are plagued with a whole host of other issues as well. And let's delve into all of that and more. So please stay with us.
Will greet you whilst you enjoy your morning coffee. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Buckler's Africa Lodge is ideally situated only 6 kilometers from the Crocodile Bridge Gate in the Kruger National Park. Catering for all travelers with variety, we have 4 types of the finest rooms: superior rooms, deluxe rooms, deluxe suites, and 2-bedroomed family units. Each room is equipped with the finest amenities to make your stay unforgettable. Guests can choose between the self-catering option or book their accommodation with breakfast and dinner included. Buckler's Africa Lodge is your ideal location for the ultimate Kruger getaway experience. We specialize in exhilarating and educational game drives in Kruger, tailor-made to suit your family. Inquire about our various accommodation offerings and other activities. Visit www.tingana.co.za for more information. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Experience the pulse of Africa with us.
One word that changes the life of a child. Orphan. One word to replace smiles with tears, confidence with anxiety, and a future with fear. Help Africa Muslims Agency to give these orphans a new word, hope. AMA's Orphan Hope program provides security for needy children in rural Africa, in Afghanistan, and in the Syrian and Palestinian refugee camps of Lebanon. For 15,000 Rand per year, you can change their life, give them hope with Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
With so many investment options today, it's only natural that you might feel a little confused which route to take. Should I buy shares or should I invest in gold bullion? Randery Jewelers now brings you the Zahab coin, an alternative to the Kruger Rand. The Zahab coin, a solid wealth protector in its purest form of 24-karat gold, is the safest way to protect your wealth. So don't just sit there and watch your paper money depreciate. Change to gold. Call Randery Jewelers now at 031 202 4701 or visit www.rjcoin.co.za, situated at 151 Essenwood Road, Musgrave, Durban. Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
SANZAF's Meals Distribution Project aims to create food security for those in need. By supporting our program, you can help us in our mission to provide access to nutritious meals on a daily basis and help us extend our reach. Join SANZAF in the fight against hunger by contributing to our food security initiatives. To learn more, visit sanzaf.org.za or call 011 834 6046. SANZAF, changing lives through development and relief.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. I'm talking with Jakkie Cilliers from the Institute for Security Studies. And Jakkie, I do need to tell you that whilst we went for the break, high excitement here in the studio in Robertsham because it's snowing here. I spoke about the cold weather, but we've just become like little kids running out to have a look at the snow. I don't know where you're based, and I don't know if you've got some snow out there.
No, I'm actually speaking to you from Sweden.
Oh,
because,
my word!
Yes. I normally stay in Pretoria, but I fled the winter, and I'll be back in South Africa end of the month. But it's nice and warm and sunny here. I'm glad to say.
Lucky
good
you!
luck.
Thank you indeed. Lucky you that you're able to escape the cold from South Africa. There are lots of families they do that. They go away to the northern hemisphere in our winters and vice versa. But be that as it may, let's get back to the conversation to hand. And the SNDF, I know 2 years ago during the unrest, I kept asking the question, why does the army not get deployed? And a lot of people said that you don't want martial law in the country. Explain that thinking to us. What could possibly go wrong when we have the army deployed in unrest situations?
Okay, so remember that eventually, after significant destruction, the military was deployed. But since they are not trained and equipped for support to the police, all that they could do is literally guard duty. What we need to do is we need to train and equip the SANDF to support the police. That requires different equipment, different training, different doctrines. And the Minister of Defense, Tandi Modise, is very much aware of this, and she is trying to move in that direction. But until we do that, until we train and equip the military, they can't really play a role. Having said that, in terms of the Constitution and South Africa's law, to deploy the military in support of the police, there is a whole parliamentary process that needs to be followed to make sure that it is done responsibly. For example, the president has to eventually sign off on the deployment of the military. So the SANDF certainly can play a role, particularly as a stopgap. For example, particularly as for crowd control and so on and so forth, but not under current conditions. They've been run down by poor management. They're poorly trained and equipped, and their doctrine and equipment does not orientate them for this role. So at the moment, although we all think that that's a solution, essentially what you're doing is you're deploying people to guard stuff, because they can't really effectively act in support of the police without changes in doctrine, training, and equipment.
Okay, let's wrap up then, and try and look at a scenario which would be, you spoke about training, education, as far as SAPS is concerned. I want to understand what exactly is it that the Institute for Security Studies are involved in. You've indicated it's quite a large organization, and I'm wondering what type of work you do. Surely the type of work you do does suggest, just by the mere name of your organization, is about security internally, externally, border security, homeland security, etc., etc., etc. I'd like to think that an organization like yours is in constant conversation with government to try and make government understand what the security situation is in communities and in the country at large. That is the role you should be playing, hopefully.
I give you
And
many answers to that. I think the short problem across almost everything is that government does not really believe in evidence. Government believes in ideology, and it's a huge frustration, I think. So the ISS is a regional organization. We work on broad human security issues, but we have a specific program that looks at crime and justice in South Africa. We run a huge website that tracks crime in South Africa, and constant efforts at engaging with the police. And we do succeed in selected instances, but it's politics that drives policing in South Africa. Unfortunately, not evidence, and it's very frustrating in engaging in these issues. So you have a very, very large, top-heavy policing structure in South Africa, and very little, in actual fact, in terms of smart following the evidence, following what the data tells us. And that's really what we do. We're very much about data, about evidence, about trying to inform the debate about from the victimization surveys and other data that comes from the ground. But it's often quite frustrating, because it's all about politics and about gesture policing, which means the minister and senior officials need to be on television, but in actual fact, very little happens in terms of fixing the management challenges within the police. And policing is not rocket science. It's done all over the world by all kinds of countries. It requires training and equipment and smart people and dedicated people, of which there are many in the police, that really want to fix the problem. It requires the gathering of data, and then using that data to inform your reaction. Where does murder occur? Who is doing it? Let's find out. Let's apprehend them. Get the evidence to apprehend them and bring them to court. That means the criminal justice system also needs to work and bring these people to book. At the moment, something like 14% of murders in South Africa are brought to trial. That's, it's amongst the lowest in the world. And that is just poor management, incompetence,
Yeah, and it
politics.
sounds, from what we're reading and seeing around us, that the justice system is also broken. But let's leave that for another conversation. It's been wonderful talking to you, your deep insights into security issues in the police services. Um, it was really lovely talking to you, but I must say that I'm leaving you on a very pessimistic feeling, knowing just how dire the situation is. But look forward to many more conversations with you in the future. Thank you. Enjoy the wonderful warm weather in Sweden, and God bless.
Thank you very much.
That was Jakkie Cilliers. He is the head of African Futures and Innovation Institute for Security Studies, talking about obviously 2 years on and reflecting on the July unrest. And undoubtedly, we are going to be talking some more about the unrest tomorrow and on Wednesday. It is the anniversary of the July unrest. I guess hopefully by talking about these issues, there'll be a lot of learning and insights that can be gleaned, and hopefully the powers that be will try and start putting action in place that we don't see a repeat of what happened 2 years ago, and also the horrific event uh, on Sunday early morning, of the 6 trucks being torched at Van Reenen's Pass. It is 8:40 a.m. Good people, it is snowing. It is snowing here in Robertsham. I'm in the studios. I can see outside of the window and I see this beautiful snowfall. So wherever you are in Gauteng, I hope you are also enjoying this beautiful sight. I'm enjoying the sight of the falling snow, but I can tell you I ain't happy about the cold. So keep warm is all I can say to you. It is 8:41 a.m. News and Views on Salam Media. Standing by to talk to us is Hassan Nohanovic. He is the survivor of the Srebrenica genocide, also the author and social justice advocate based in Bosnia. So that should be a very powerful interview. Please stay with us.